days driving around here trying to find something that would give you a sense, and I think this is the only one. The only spot. Thank goodness it hadn't been developed yet, part of the industrial park. I apologize, I think my batteries have died, so if you can't hear me again, holler and I'll do what I can to get louder. Through the trees you can see Fort Collier. They just a little bit. Maybe you are from the area, probably have been there before. This is just a little bit different. Got to use our imaginations. No buildings. Open grass. Open fields. Over it, if you were to look at basically the, right above the trees, you can't see, would have been Star Fort. Star Fort's there, still there. You can certainly go visit it. These were constructed initially to protect the northern entrance and especially the railroad. By this point, the railroad was not functioning. There were simply forts up there to help protect. So as you look at the final map of the packet, you can look at it this way. Star Fort in your upper left-hand part of the map. Fort Collier right here. So we're roughly where it says King. And then above it to the right, there's an arrowhead. That's about where we are. That's about where we're standing. So we see this now. Over in Star Fort, a couple cavalry, Virginia cavalry units have gone up there. The 1st and 2nd Virginia. They're going to try and hold that. The 3rd Virginia is in the gap between Star Fort and Fort Collier. And then you start picking up infantry. Smith, Forsberg, what's left of Patton's group are all over here. So as that attack comes down the Martinsburg Pike, and you can tell there's a little bit of a curve to it at the very top of the map, and that's what we drove through. It kind of curves around. That's changed a little bit because of the other highway and all, but they're coming around here. Chapman, the Confederate artillery officer, has placed 4 guns up here in Fort Collier. Now again, there's events up there. As far as I know, you can walk in today. They have an open house, some other things, but it's also the Stein family's home. And they actually do a family reunion. So a little bit of everything going up there today. But the Steins had lived here. They're sitting basically down the cellar watching this battle raging around them. But this attack now, remember we had 5 brigades, 5,000 horsemen walking slowly. The attack at Star Fort has been successful and pushed them now back to Fort Jackson. Again, pretty well gone. Can't really go visit it. It would be off to behind me, directly behind me. That's the kind of final line for the Confederacy here at Third Winchester. And what you see is that Custer is now on the other side of the valley. You've got Lowell, and then you've gotten Devon, because after his attack on Patton's command and what have you, they've now reformed on the left flank of the Confederate cavalry. They presenting now, though, the cavalry is the entire right flank of the Union cavalry. It's about this time Fitzhugh Lee has been leading. He gets wounded. So the most competent Confederate commander on the field is taken out of action. Things are not going well now for the Confederate cavalry as well as the Early's entire 2nd Corps. And what unhinges this is those 3 divisions, those 3 brigades you see, Lowell, Custer, and Devon. This is the climactic charge that we read about, that Tholstrom painted about. It's a very famous painting. But this is a charge, about 1,000, maybe 1,200 men. Again, squadrons in line, broad front, and now's the time they cut the horses loose. They've been walking most of this time. Again, very intimidating approach. Schoonmaker and what have you kind of split off to the west to take care of Star Fort. The other three are coming. Devin has gone over and take care of Patton. He's back. Here come these three brigades. That's his Merritt's division now. The 1st Division. Those three brigades are coming from this direction right at us. The attack takes right into the corner of, kind of hits the corner of Fort Collier. There are a couple guns left. 2 had gotten away, 2 are still fighting. There's a melee around the guns. It is mass confusion. They are able to get both those guns off in the confusion. But that attack now rolls over the top of Fort Collier. We would have seen troopers riding right over the top of this hill, through there, down the pike, on the other side. This is all crashing down now and through. And just beyond Devon, you know, maybe I can see a transformer on top of the pole, maybe a little closer. There would have been the infantry of Sheridan, now joined again. They've made a continuous line. You know, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good in battle. Sheridan, I would say, was pretty lucky here. He made several mistakes in this battle. This is his first time as an Army commander. But it all came together, and when you win, you can gloss over the mistakes. And this is a case where, serendipitously almost, his attack has now swung. They're coming this way. The infantry have crossed Redbud, hit the flank. Now they're coming back across. Now they're coming this way. Here comes Devon. Here comes Lowell. Here comes Custer. Out beyond is Powell and Schoonmaker. So this hits like a ton of bricks. There's not enough men here to stop it. These guys, the Confederate cavalry, have been fighting all day. Fighting and falling back, fighting and fall back. That's harder than attack, because their job is try and hold. They know they're not going to beat 5,000 horsemen. They just got to hold them off. Just got to hold them off. If they had held them another hour, who knows what would have happened at this battle. But the reality is they didn't. And this is a saber charge at 5,000 in line, or not 5,000, several thousand, 2,000 probably, in line, coming at this position, and I say riding right through. Unhinges the line. Now the Confederate line, now here comes Coburn's division, here comes the rest, 6th Corps, 19th Corps, and now they're breaking, and as they say, they were sent whirling through Winchester. They will chase Custer's men, Schoonmaker, everybody, they'll chase them through town. Most of the Confederates run to about Newtown, which is today Stevens City. About that far and collapse. They're left pretty much alone. Now I will tell you this: the 3rd Division that crossed with the infantry, their job was to cut around Winchester to the south, and they were to block the Union or block the turnpike. That would have been the retreat route for Early. They were going to catch him and catch him in between. Harry Wilson, James Wilson, not the world's best commander. He had been a staff officer with Grant. He came west with Grant, and Grant gave him a full division of cavalry. Real uneven as far as his leadership there. Initially out at the Army, with the Army of the Potomac, they shift here. Sheridan wants aggression and aggressiveness. They are not very aggressive on the backside of Winchester. And nothing happens. Late in the day, it's almost dark. They finally reach the pike. By that time, these guys have run through. For the most part, they've gotten away. And Harry decides, I need to do something. So he actually orders a charge down the pike after the retreating Confederates. The problem was, Early and his leaders understood there would be some sort of follow-up, and they established a battery and 2 regiments down here behind a stone wall. So a Union regiment goes down towards Stevens City. They literally let them ride over them. The Confederates let the Union ride over them and turn around and wait for them to come back. not a good thing for those Union troopers. So that's really the last action of Third Winchester. They did get through, but the regiment was pretty well cut up. Unneeded casualties for both sides, to be honest. Of course, you know what happens next day. They retreat on down to Fisher's Hill. 2 days later, Fisher's, what you may or may not know, the cavalry's not admirals there. These two divisions that have just fought here, they go down the Front Royal, down to the Page Valley. Their idea is to go, same thing, go through the Newmarket path and get down through the gap and stop them there. The Valley Cavalry that I maligned so much, stopped them down at a little place called Milford, also known as Overall. Again, Harry Wilson, not very aggressive. Torbert, who's the chief of the cavalry, not very aggressive. They turn around and start back. They get word, hey, they just went to Fisher's Hill. They're on the march down the pike after Early. You need to get through the gap. They turn around. It's too late. And that ends to me, that ends the Third Winchester campaign. A lot of opportunities. The cavalry very integral. They learned a lot. And of course, Sheridan did too. At Fisher's Hill, Admiral did not pursue the way he wanted him to, fired him. Powell becomes the commander of the division. On September 30th, when they're down past Harrisonburg in that area, down in Rockbridge County, he gets a telegram from Grant. Sheridan does, said, I need a new commander for the cavalry. Sherman wants a new, who you got? Sherman needs a cavalry commander. He said, I got a great guy. He came with me from the West. He's a great guy. He sends Wilson and promotes George Custer. So Custer gets divisional command on October 1st. And that, I'll stop there. Any other questions? Anything I can help you with to understand?
I have a question. What's going on at the fort today? What's going on over at the fort today?
They've got a family reunion, the Stein family. That's the Stein home, okay. But it's also an open house. I think it's a again, anniversary activity there. I know they had some things there this morning.
Yeah, we were there this morning. It's an open house from 9 to 5. There was a presentation this morning. We heard before we left.
Okay, so again, it is open house. It sounds like you're welcome to go up there. Okay.
I had a question.
Yes, sir.
Approximately where was Patton mortally wounded at?
All right, you know the Hackwood house and the lane. They were retreating from the lane.
Okay.
So somewhere west of Hackwood, yeah, he was wounded there. And that, by the time he's mortally wounded, he's brought to Winchester, dies 6 days later. His command is shaken by that. They're in retreat, and that's when Devon hits them. So there's all kind of chaos with Patton's brigade. There's nothing to take away from them. They had fought bravely up north. They had helped kind of hold this. They were falling back. They've been called back. They're in the middle of the fight, and they're just basically overwhelmed. And then, really kind of out of the blue, here comes Devon. They could hear the cavalry fighting further over, but if you look at the maps, you see Devon kind of out on his own there, closer to the infantry fight. And when he sees Patton's brigade breaks, he sees the opportunity to go in on Patton's broken flank and do some significant damage. And he did.
I have another question. So it says Patton, Gordon, and Forsberg. It looks like they're behind some kind of is that like a stone wall they're fighting behind?
Yeah, there were stone walls scattered throughout. So it did afford some. But again, let's remember here too, most of the Confederate brigades aren't much more than a few hundred, maybe 1,000, if lucky 1,200 men. The Union brigades, when you see those names, are going to be much larger, 1,800, 2,200. So even if you see 3 names on one side and 3 names on the other side, that must have been a pretty equal fight. You have to understand that the sizes of the units have depreciated significantly for the Confederate forces.
It was at least at 2-to-1 odds, right?
Oh, at this battle, when it's all said and done, actually engaged, it's about 4-to-1.
Okay.
Yeah. On the Confederate, again, the cavalry, it's about 2-to-1, but infantry, definitely 4-to-1. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.